dark whispers and haunted tales. Unveiling haunted tales one whisper at a time. Whispers in the dark. The wind howled through the desolate stretch of road as Sarah, a young college student, embarked on her journey home for fall break. The fading daylight cast eerie shadows over the gnarled branches of the trees that line the deserted road. With each passing mile, the feeling of isolation grew, and Sarah couldn't shake off the sense of unease that settled in her heart. Her car's headlights cut through the darkness, but as the clock struck midnight, an ominous feeling gnawed at her mind. A sudden clunk echoed from the engine, and her car sputtered to a halt. Panic engulfed Sarah as she realized her car had broken down in the middle of nowhere. Feeling vulnerable, she grabbed her phone to call for help, only to find no signal. She was stranded, alone, with no one around to lend a hand. Her heart pounded in her chest, and she tried to suppress the rising fear. With no other choice, Sarah decided to walk to the nearest town. She wrapped her jacket around herself tightly, trying to ward off the cold chill that seemed to seep into her bones. The road stretched ahead like an endless abyss, and the sounds of the night filled her ears, the distant howling of a lone wolf and the rustling of unseen creatures in the bushes. As she walked, Sarah felt an eerie presence lurking behind her. She quickened her pace, but the feeling persisted, as if something or someone was following her, just beyond the reach of her sight. Fear threatened to overwhelm her, but she forced herself to keep moving, focusing on the distant glimmer of lights that signaled civilization. The trees seemed to close in on her, their twisted branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, and the wind whispered chilling secrets in her ear. Her imagination played tricks on her, conjuring up shadowy figures lurking in the corners of her vision. As she walked, Sarah spotted an old abandoned house in the distance. Desperation drove her to seek shelter, even though her instincts warned her against it. The house stood like a haunted relic, its windows boarded up, and ivy crawling up the decaying walls. She hesitated but finally mustered the courage to approach the house. With trembling hands, she pushed the creaking door open and stepped inside. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and the floorboards groaned under her weight. The flickering light of her phone revealed cobwebs and dust, adding to the eerie atmosphere. Sarah felt an overwhelming sensation that she was not alone. The feeling of being watched intensified, and her heart raced. She tried to reason with herself, blaming her fear on the exhaustion and the spooky setting. But the shadows seemed to dance and twist in unnatural ways, heightening her dread. Just as she decided to leave the sinister abode, a chilling voice echoed from the depths of the house. "You shouldn't have come here, Sarah." The blood froze in her veins as the voice seemed to resonate from all directions. Terror-stricken, Sarah stumbled backward, her heart pounding in her throat. She turned and ran, uncaring of the thorny bushes that scratched her skin. The sensation of being pursued intensified, and she refused to look back, fearing what she might see. Finally, she emerged from the trees and saw the lights of a gas station up ahead. With the last ounce of strength in her legs, she sprinted towards safety. Bursting into the gas station, she gasped for breath, trying to explain her ordeal to the bewildered attendant. The attendant called the police, who arrived shortly after to investigate the abandoned house. However, they found no trace of the chilling voice or the sinister presence Sarah had encountered. To them, it appeared as if she had stumbled upon a creepy, empty house during her breakdown, and her fear had played tricks on her mind. But Sarah knew what she had experienced was real. Though she made it home safely, she could never shake off the feeling that something malevolent had followed her that night. From that day on, she became cautious of the shadows, for she knew that some fears are born not from mere imagination but from the darkest depths of reality.